Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Good afternoon and welcome to Collaborative Connections radio show and podcast sponsored by KLM Consulting. I'm your host, Kelly Lorenzen. We are coming to you live from the comforts of our home while Karen Owicki is producing the show at Phoenix Business RadioX studio inside Mac 6. Collaborative Connections is a radio series created to bring entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and associations together to build relationships, foster collaboration, and grow a stronger community together. Our hope for today is that listeners and guests alike will walk away with a golden nugget or a new resource for their business. The sponsor for our show, KLM Consulting, is an on-demand business concierge marketing and project management firm with over 17 years of award-winning business savvy. KLM Consulting helps fast-growing companies and entrepreneurs build, brand, and brag about their businesses. Today, I have the honor of being in the studio with three amazing people I'd love to introduce you to. Welcome to the studio, Michele Rebeor with Michele Rebeor Consulting. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Kelly. It's a pleasure to be here.
And Dawn Hocking with the Centers for Habilitation. Thanks for being on with me.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
And Anne Gill from Tempe Chamber of Commerce, my favorite chamber. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kelly. Glad to be here.
I've been talking about you guys for a long time, wanting you to get on the show with me. I'm so glad it all came together. So today is about getting to know each of your businesses, what you're doing in the community, and what current situation is affecting you. So I'd love for people to get to know a little bit about you first. So Michele, if you can give us and listeners a little bit about you and your business to start, that would be great.
Sure. Unlike I think our other guests, I am not a native of Arizona, but I've been here almost 31 years from upstate New York. Much prefer the desert and the heat. Cannot do 2 degrees and cold.
Yeah, no thanks.
You don't have to shovel snow. That's all I have to say. Shovel sun. But I've been in the fundraising industry in development work for about 27 of those years. And I've worked for higher education, for healthcare institutions, community nonprofits that cover the state of Arizona all over. And then in 2016, I left a decade of working for the Arizona State University's Women in Philanthropy program, leading that, being literally just inspired beyond belief by the women I was able to work with and help foster their philanthropy for a decade, and really became just very passionate about the role of women in philanthropy. And I saw the need, after decades of research, I saw the need for nonprofits to understand that focus. So I opened a niche consulting business then to support nonprofits on strategies for educating and engaging women as donors in a more sustainable way. And then have been consulting with a national firm, CCS Fundraising, for the last almost 2 years as well, helping clients mostly in Arizona and the Southwest, helping to build the business here in Arizona because I'm completely committed to the Arizona community, especially to the nonprofits. So here I am, still working with nonprofits and loving every minute of it.
So great. Well, so for those of you who know me, all of you on the call do, I am very, very passionate about nonprofits. So I'm excited that I get to work with you, Michele, and continue that. And of course, for our nonprofit, Centers for Habilitation, Dawn, can you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
I have been lucky enough to work at TCH for almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years in August. 13 of those years I've been the development officer. And we support adults with disabilities in a variety of programs. So we have the privilege of helping them find jobs and safe place to live and helping them just be independent and home, as well as a variety of other programs. We also own and operate ASDD data destruction, where we employ people with disabilities and help generate a little revenue for our state-funded programs because they're underfunded. I am very involved in the Tempe community, very involved with the Tempe Chamber. Again, my favorite chamber as well. I love the community, and this pandemic, the crisis, has been very challenging, I know, for everybody, but for adults with disabilities, it's been increasingly more challenging because they are more isolated at this point because of their medical needs. So fundraising is going to be interesting this year as well, as we look to what can we do and what's safe to do.
Yeah, I can't imagine what I say. I feel so lucky that I have family at home to be with, I'm sure I can't imagine the challenges that they're going through right now. Hopefully we'll still get to adopt the home in December, even if we have to drop it off in the curb, right?
That's the plan.
I do that every year. We love doing that with our family.
And they love it.
Oh, good. And from Tempe Chamber of Commerce, we're going to have that throughout the whole show, right? Our favorite chamber.
Yeah, well, it's my favorite chamber too. So I guess we all have a lot in common.
Can you tell us a little bit about you and the chamber?
Sure. Well, a little bit similar to Michelle, I'm actually have been in the Valley for 20 years, originally from Michigan. And so I really enjoy being part of the Arizona community, and I've been in leadership and organization management for over 25 years as part of my career. And being part of the Tempe Chamber and being able to support a community and give back is something that I'm really passionate about. Love being an advocate for our business community to help make our community stronger. Always looking to collaborate and make connections. And one of the things that we enjoy doing and I enjoy doing is connecting businesses to nonprofits, because there's so many great businesses out there that love to support and want to really connect and engage in their employees. And just always looking for ways to help our businesses grow, and as well as grow the next leaders here in Tempe. So providing those resources and information, being that trusted source for people, especially during this time with everything going on, to know that you can come to the Tempe Chamber, to our website. You're going to get accurate information from verified experts. So how you can continue to grow and manage your business, your workforce, your employees, and still connect with the community.
I think a lot of people only think of a chamber in one capacity, right? I think there's that, misunderstanding of whatever they've decided, right? A chamber of commerce is, they put you in a this little bucket. And knowing from experience, you guys have been a wealth of information. I mean, it's so amazing for not only for entrepreneurs, but nonprofits, like you said, in the business community in general. I'm a huge advocate of keeping everything local and hyper nonprofit, helping nonprofits and all that. So I couldn't be more happy to support the chamber. And you guys have been so great through this whole everybody being at home. And I'm sure people thought, I should just get rid of all my memberships and everything. And I told everybody that's the opposite you should do. You should really, because you guys have been so good at quickly turning everything to Zoom. We're still having our business owners forum, still having our business before hours, and all these networking opportunities and collaborations. And you guys have been so great at that. So I applaud you for that.
Well, and Kelly, I think it even goes beyond that. When you think about the advocacy, how the chamber is promoting and helping businesses get through this crisis and help them with things like, small business loans and PPE and, advocating for whatever it is that each business needs.
And it's a credible source. It's not just a random source. It's one that has its hands in the real story and the real circumstances. So I take after my mother, but her whole role after her in her retired position was promoting the chamber and membership. And she did a lot of work for our local Chamber of Commerce back in New York, and she still is very active in it. So I'm very familiar with all the benefits, because she used to tell me, people don't understand.
It is. And we serve in so many different ways and capacities, and depending on what the needs are. And we really listen to our members and to the community. We're constantly surveying. In fact, we've surveyed several times just during the past couple of months to find out how businesses are doing, what challenges are that they're facing, so that what we're doing in regards to webinars and education is really, listening and adjusting and hearing what their needs are, so that we can make sure that we're helping them as we move through this process.
And you changed your membership levels, did you not? Was that prior to COVID?
Yes. Yep. And we did that just a year and a half, 2 years ago, and really giving businesses a choice on how they want to engage with the chamber. So it's not a one size fits all proposition. And it really, if marketing and advertising and connecting is what you're passionate about, there's a way for you to engage. If you want to be a big investor in different ways or get your brand out there, you can invest in a different way. So
sounds very familiar, doesn't it, Dawn, for donors? Same
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and Anne's done an amazing job since she's taken over the Tempe Chamber, really pushing some things through. It's been really great.
Well, thanks, Dawn. Thanks, guys.
When you surveyed people recently, Anne, what did you find? What were they, for listeners, how can businesses and listeners help each other throughout this? Or, what was the feedback you got recently?
Well, the most recent survey we did, we had almost 400 respondents, and 75% of those respondents were businesses with fewer than 20 employees. And we really wanted to find out, how have you changed your business model? What about funding? And so access to cash and funding is still the number one challenge and issue for our businesses, especially the smaller ones. At the time we did the survey, and this was before the second round of PPP opened, 74% of those respondents had applied and only 25% had been approved. And, going back to the EIDL loans, the economic injury disaster loans, 60% had applied and only 9% had approved. So that's why we really went and worked with the city of Tempe and Desert Financial to implement, economic assistance loans for our Tempe businesses, similar to programs that we've done with them before, with the city before, with light rail construction and streetcar construction. But the city was able to step up and actually, guarantee up to $1 million these types of loans, which just gives businesses another access to a resource, a quick turnaround. These loans are coming out in 3 to 5 days versus 2 to months, or I still don't know, I haven't heard. That's really just one of the biggest ones. Most of them have had to lay off or temporarily close, and only 16% said they were hiring. So there's big gaps in what's happening out there.
I saw that recently. My husband and I talked about it. We both own businesses. We don't really need the funding because we have all contractors, right? We don't have employees. But what about if we could get the loan or the funding and then be able to pay more people, right? To be able to spread that and hire more people and do more things for our business with that money. So we decided, and it came really quickly, especially that second round for him came really quickly. And the first round was, just the SBA. But I think every little bit helps because no matter who gets it, then if you can spread it, if you can then buy stuff and hire people and donate and do all the things with it to stimulate the economy, I think it's going to help everybody.
Yeah, and that's another reason when we did the Buy Now, Save Local program, really expanded what we were doing with Hound to do support vouchers, so the community could get those support vouchers from the merchants in Tempe, and they could save them for later, give them to someone else, or that could be their way to just contribute to a business and keep them going as they're temporarily closed and as they're reopening. So any way that we can be strategic and innovative just to help connect the community, because that consumer confidence is going to be the biggest part of reopening and being stronger than ever.
Right. And Dawn, tell us a little bit about your, during this time, the community partnerships and the tax credit information. Tell us about that.
Sure. So TCH is a qualifying organization for the Arizona Charitable Tax Credit, which has been great. And now that we're through the 2019 tax season, of course, you can start donating for the 2020 tax season. For us, it's been a little bit different than a lot of industries because we get about 60% of our funding from the state of Arizona, which only covers about 70% of the program costs. And on top of that, we've had to temporarily suspend our day program. And so we're losing revenue there. And now we're having to pick up new expenses like PPE because we're considered essential and we're frontline workers. When you think about it, we're providing personal care, all of those kinds of things on a day-to-day basis with, you can't keep 6 feet away from somebody if you're assisting them with eating. So it's things like that where, you don't think you have to plan for, but obviously those expenses have come up. So we're doing some more looking for grants, which is, of course, very competitive, and it's going to be even more competitive now. We've had some great community support with people dropping things off. I have a friend who's made masks for us so that we have reusable masks. So, but we're in the same boat with everybody else. We need things like wipes and masks and all of those things to keep our individuals safe. We don't have an exact date to bring everybody back and reopen our day program and our employment programs. A lot of our guys lost their jobs because of this, which is completely understandable. We have a large group that works at like ASU. And so when ASU closed down, those guys all got laid off. We've done some other layoffs within our administration just to save some costs so that we can, get through this. And we'll get through this and we'll come out actually stronger. It's very challenging. It's very challenging for the individuals that we support because the majority of them don't understand what's going on. Or, I still get to see a couple people who work in one area and they'll be like, well, when's this going to be over? And of course nobody knows. So yeah, it's an interesting time right now. But the individuals we support are amazing, and you still see them smiling through pictures. I get pictures. We received a grant from the ADDPC, and it's for activities in the home. So we have water play and games and art supplies and all of those things. And so they've been sending me pictures of the individuals doing all of these things. And it's made a huge, huge difference.
Isn't that amazing that just having, asking for donations for very specific things like art supplies, to keep, it's just like having kids at home, right? It's like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do with them if they don't get to go to their day programs, if they don't get to go to school? We have to have some sort of, so are you reaching out to your community partnerships and asking for those specific donations?
We've reached out to a few. We've had actually a couple of grants that we received basically December, January timeframe. We had one grantor actually reach out to us and say, hey, we understand what's going on. You requested money for this, but you can put it towards your general operating just to get through this time. And I reached out to a couple other grantors that asking the same thing, and they've all said yes because they understand the challenges. The programs that we requested the money for is important. However, this time is even more important. So, it's been great, and we've had some people help us out individually with social media, trying to get other people to donate some things as well.
That's nice. But if we all pull together, right, we can all help each other.
Absolutely.
That's the power of social media. That's for sure. Michele, are you seeing? Are there some lessons that nonprofits could take from this recent pandemic that you're seeing?
Absolutely. I think the biggest lesson, and it's something I've been preaching for years, is relationships and communication. Those organizations that have been good and about maintaining meaningful communication, meaningful engagement opportunities, very intentional in their ways to notify and to talk to and with their donors and their sponsors and grant organizations, as well as their staff and, of course, their clients. Those are the ones that are doing okay right now. They've all along been doing the right thing. So when you have a pandemic such as this that's so unexpected, those relationships that you've spent time cultivating over the years really are so valuable. And you can go back to them, as Dawn was saying, and say, listen, we're in a situation, we need, whoever thought PPE? So, we need PPEs, we need this, we need some unique circumstances, and we need it now. And they've already know your mission. They're engaged with your mission. They get it. They trust you. They have valued partnerships, and they're willing to help out, or at least find somebody to help out. And that is the ultimate lesson and it always has been with philanthropy. Our world gets, with every bit of technology, as I talk on Zoom, our world gets a little more transactional, a little less relationship oriented in really developing that. And in nonprofits, of course, as with businesses, have a bottom line. They have expenses and budgets they have to meet. So, there's a real gray area of spending time and sometimes years with the right donor, with people before you receive any sort of significant gift, to needing money now. But I'm a firm believer in return on relationship, and that ultimately will result in a return on investment. So relationships are really the bottom line to all philanthropy, and it should be more obvious now, even with this pandemic. Other than that, I think that nonprofits are seeing they can do things as effectively and probably more efficiently in ways they never thought of. And that's always the balance scale for nonprofits, is nobody has plenty of staff or plenty of money or plenty of resources ever. Doesn't matter how big or small you are. So I think this is showing people they can do things a little differently and maybe consider down the road a more efficient and just as effective, if not more, strategies.
That's the truth, right?
I have to agree with Michelle. I think the relationships are so important. And, some people don't think that they are as important in terms of, checking in with each other or sending a, hey, how you doing kind of thing. And just that face-to-face communication. I know we're not able to do that right now, but those pieces are so important. And, you can definitely see the ones that don't take the time and how they struggle a little bit more.
Yeah, it's the bottom line to success. And Anne even proved it with, the Tempe Chamber, where hey, what do we need? What do you all need? How can we serve your needs? And that's always the message, is it has nothing to do with you as an organization. It's about the people you're engaging. What do they need, and how can they do it through your organization? I'm a believer in through, not to, when I talk about donations, because it needs to come back in that circle to benefit the donor. Not, it shouldn't stop at your front door. When somebody gives to an organization, that, to me, my brain goes, hey, that stops there. When they give through an organization, it goes back to them. And that's ultimately where your long-term success is going to be, is when the donors see benefit from their investments.
Well, and I think it's also, it's a give relationship too, because I've been in relationships with people who are like, what can you do for me? What can you do for me? And it's like, wait a minute, this is both ways. So if I go to ask somebody for something, I want to find a way that I can then do something for them.
Yes. Yeah. It has to be mutually beneficial. It can't just be a reactionary, whatever you want kind of world, as we know it can be sometimes.
That's true for any business, right? I mean, that's true for associations and nonprofits and entrepreneurs and everybody. If you're not building the relationships, if you don't have somebody to, lean on, if you don't have somebody to call when you want to get, like when Dawn, before this all started, thank goodness we got our coffee date in right before this all started, right? And we were talking about needs you had right then. And if you can turn around and do that, give back right away, it's such a nice to know, like, absolutely, ask me anytime you need anything, and do it right now.
Well, and I've seen that with like the Tempe Chamber and Anne. I mean, I can go to Anne and say, hey, would you guys help me promote this because we're doing X? And Anne knows that she can turn around and be like, hey, we need a place for a meeting. Can you host us? But it's mutual. It's back and forth.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a two-way street, and ever since this happened, we've called every one of our members, reached out to everyone, and now we're starting to do it again, just to again touch base and see how we can help. And one of our manufacturers in Tempe needed help switching their line to produce PPE, and there was funding identified in the CARES Act that hadn't been identified on how to get that down to the state level. So reaching out to Congressman Stanton and working with his legislative team, we were able to get that funding, and then also connecting them to our local hospitals. So Tempe St. Luke's and Dignity Health, because you need just the supply chain so they can get that out. just however we can help answer those questions. And Dawn, you had legislation going through this year at the Capitol, and of course we signed on to support and lobby for that, and it came through. So any way that we can lobby and help and connect, we're here to do it.
That's so. I guess my whole body has chills. I get so excited when I hear stuff like that. The power of relationships, but the power but what most people don't know is the chamber does lobby and can connect you and can do those things for you. And that's so cool. What a cool story. Both stories, right? For John and for the manufacturer. Like, hey, we can't manufacture what we normally do, but we can actually do something helpful for people, but we just don't know how to get the funding, or we just don't know how to, get this passed through. What a cool story.
Yeah, it's been amazing, some of the ways that we've been able to help and connect. And it's why the whole team, we love what we do. We love it.
You have to love what you do, I think.
Yeah, we won't get very far. If we didn't love what we do.
It becomes obvious sooner or later.
Right. Dawn, you were going to say something about that.
I don't remember.
It's like, moving on, right?
Yeah. No worries.
And is there, things being done, work being done to protect businesses and their employees as they reopen?
So that's one of the biggest things that we're working on right now behind the scenes, is to work on some of that liability protection for businesses as they reopen. There are hundreds of class action lawsuits that have already been filed in regards to the pandemic. So any way that we can help protect businesses that are doing the right things, they're following CDC guidelines, there should be some protections and safe harbors there. I mean, if you're a bad actor, then by all means you should suffer the consequences. But to really stop, any of these nuisance lawsuits from coming and impacting businesses as they're trying to open and trying to do the right thing. So there's a couple bills at the state right now. I know they're in a little bit of flux as far as what they're doing, and there's also some bills working at the federal level that we're working on. So if we can at least get the federal protections, and then some of those that need to be protected by the state level, that we're working on quite diligently.
It's such a tragic circumstance. I mean, you knew it was going to happen, but it's so tragic. You hear some of these business owners just like, what am I supposed to do? I can't. It's so... That's all.
Yeah. Well, in reality, I was going to say, in reality, it's nobody's fault per se.
No. And that's one of the big challenges is for some businesses to reopen, is they're concerned about that.
I know it is for us. Mm-hmm. Our building's been locked since mid-March, and we are not, I don't know when the front doors will be unlocked.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have two clients that are in, the same situation. How do we do this? I'm like, we just go forward. We accommodate, we adapt, and the term now is pivot. But what else? You just do what you can do, but don't stop. I've always liked Michael Crow's analogy when somebody said, how do you achieve so much with so many obstacles? And at the time they were talking about legislative cuts of for higher education, and he says, he's a student of history. And if you look at history, there's always big obstacles throughout history. And we have found ways to negotiate them. And he looks at everything as a speed bump, not a brick wall. So to navigate a speed bump, you slow down a little, but you continue going forward just with a little caution. So you do the least amount of damage, but a speed bump does not stop you from where you need to go. It's just a way to slow down a bit, but keep going forward. Just navigate the circumstances as they are. And I just love that philosophy.
Yeah, I think we're really lucky because we overcome obstacles every day with our guys.
Of course,
so we have to be really creative. And I think that helps us get through these kinds of times because we're very creative. We don't look at it as a huge negative. We go, okay, what can we do and how can we do it better?
I was very honored. I worked a few years for the USA Triathlon Board in the Southwest, and my role was to work with para-triathletes and develop a opportunity for them to race here in Arizona because I was in the triathlete world here. So I knew nothing about, various disabilities. I did not. Then I spent a week in California learning with challenged athletes, and have since then just become what they go through to adapt to every day. Like you said, it's nothing compared to what we're dealing with now. If you want to complain about being stuck in your nice home for a few weeks,
right?
So you really do great work there. Really great work.
It's all about perspective, right? It's about how in mindset and how we're thinking about it. Every single day, I find a silver lining in the situation. I purposely, what did I learn today? What did I accomplish today? What good things happened today? Whether it's with my kids or my client or, something, there is
always something. Even
if it's little or very big silver lining. At the beginning of the year, it was growth was my word. And since the pandemic, it's now silver lining. I always pick a theme for the year, right?
And I think it's that mindset, because instead of thinking what's the worst that can happen, you run into a challenge. What's the best that can happen? And you start looking at it from that way. Your perspective changes, the way you handle it changes, the way people around you respond changes. So, what's the best that can happen from a challenge?
And people feed off you and your energy and your being. They will feed off the positive and the negative, and the stress and the all those things. So I agree with you.
Well, and I think that acknowledging that mistakes are going to happen and not everything's going to work, but you're going to try it anyway. Mm-hmm. And you're going to figure it out as you go.
And that's what, just being transparent. It's one of the advice I had my client is just, you don't have to know everything. Nobody knows everything right now. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to know what's going to happen tomorrow or have this, grand plan of how to deal with these circumstances. Nobody does. But it doesn't mean you should not communicate. Be transparent. Hey, here we are. We're abiding by the restrictions, and we're hunkering down to figure out how we can best go forward in the most effective way in our organization, to serve our mission and to serve our donors. And, you don't have to know it all. And donors appreciate, and members, appreciate that you are just being real, because they don't always expect you to know everything. Everybody thinks you should know exactly where you have to be and where you're going. And that's not the case.
That's true in any business, right? Authenticity and transparency. You'll last so much longer in business and in relationships, even in your marriage, right?
Yeah. Right. We're not going there. That is not on the topic.
That's not on the topic for today.
I don't have notes about that, Kelly.
Dawn, can you tell us a little bit about your leadership? Speaking of transparency, tell us, for people who don't know TCH, who is your leadership?
As in, or as in our organization, who our leadership is, or. So we have a small senior management team. We have a president and CEO. He's been with us for a couple of years now. And the majority of our management team, well, there's two of us that have been there 30 plus years. Another one that's been there for about 25 years. So, and then everybody else has been there probably 10 to 15 years on the management team. So we have a really strong management team. Several of us have been recognized for our leadership throughout some different awards, but it's a really great cohesive team.
So nice to have people that have been there so long. It says so much about an organization, doesn't it? For so long, if you have that longevity, that it's not constant turnover. What a cool thing.
And I was in the nonprofit world.
Well, I was going to say, thinking about that as well, when you think about people who work in development, they don't last very long. I can't tell you how many people I'll reach back out to an organization because we try to partner with different things, and it's a new development person there. Right. So I'm kind of a rarity when it comes to those kinds of things, but I believe in what we do, the mission of TCH, and the individuals that we support.
I am the chair for the Association for Fundraising Professionals Mentoring Program, and have been last year and this year. And that's exactly what I'm working to kind of create a pipeline of quality, well-trained, ethical professionals in the development world. Because as I work with clients, and I work not only just locally, but some in the Southwest and whatnot, it's a challenge for this environment to maintain and retain quality development staff. It's a known sector issue, and it does damage to nonprofits in the long term with the constant turnover. And then there's some organizations, I know one that's been looking for 9 months for the right person, and that shouldn't be. So I'm really changing our professional, or trying to really adapt our professional mentoring program. It's a 20-year program. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but really trying to adapt it to these changing environments where finding qualified and making sure you have qualified professionals for the future of this sector that are available and knowledgeable and committed and passionate.
Well, and you might want to partner with Anne and the Women in Business, because they have a mentor program that is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know of it. I have not participated.
We love it. Right. I was a mentee first. And of course, I have the privilege of having Jackie Thompson be my mentor from Southwest Airlines. You can't get a better mentor, I don't think, than that.
No, she's amazing.
She's since become a very close second mom to me. But then got to be a mentor. It's such a great program. And Linda Califf, helped start that program a long time ago. What a great opportunity for people, in business. To be able to have somebody in their corner to help them grow. It's such a cool thing.
And women are catalysts. I mean, they love it. It's in their DNA, most women, to network and to support and to help. And it's one of the things that inspired me most with the Women in Philanthropy is just sitting down and watching these really dynamic, intelligent, thoughtful women just find a way to make an impact. How can they do it? They were so sincere in different levels of financial resources, but everybody came from that heart of wanting to make a difference. And while women are certainly making a much larger impact financially in the world, both for and nonprofit, what they're really doing is influencing and so much more beyond their dollars, because they're stepping out and really making a difference and wanting to be that network for help and catalyst and change. And it's really it's so rewarding to just sit and even just watch that happen, much less participate in it, to present this topic. I've been studying it for a long time, and it's really, it just doesn't get much better.
Especially when you surround yourself with passionate people that want to do good, right? As we all do.
I mean, and then you get to meet, you have opportunities to meet like these circumstances, just
right.
You meet more and more and more. And of course, men have a great role too. It's not against men. They have just as much. It's just different. Everybody's needs to be different, but women are being, included more in the opportunities and making their way with a variety of directions. And it's really inspiring.
And what's up for the Tempe Chamber? What's up on the plan coming up? What do you have coming up? What are you working on?
Wow, that's a lot. Obviously I mentioned the liability and the legislative side, but we are looking at implementing a curriculum, like a business academy, if you will, and really focusing on how to help businesses come out of this pandemic and recover economically. So our Business Development Council is in the process of putting that together, financial expertise, marketing expertise, communications, HR expertise, really putting that to help businesses get through, because they're passionate about what they do, and sometimes they don't know how, without everything, how do I adjust my budget? How do I adjust my business plan? How do I look differently at communications? I've never been, on social media. How do I start engaging on that? in the digital space, because the way we do business is changed. And so there's a lot of great opportunities out there. And I think, we have a signature event tomorrow, our State of the District, which normally is an in-person event, and it's with Congressman Stanton. And we have a sponsor, Fox Media. They're building here in Tempe, a location. And so we're able to take that in-person event and create it in an interactive broadcast format. And so it will be the first organization to be able to present a signature event like this. And so we're going to be able to do that with used to be the annual luncheon. Now it's the State of the Chamber. That's in June. And, we already have over 400 people registered for that event. We have over 200 registered for tomorrow, which we usually only have 100 people. So because we're doing it in a virtual capacity, we're actually able to reach more people and to, inform them, let them know what's going on, ask questions, and then also for our annual luncheon to say thank you to, our volunteer of the year, our businesses of the year, businesswoman of the year, just to have that chance of gratitude that we have every year. It was really important to me to make sure that we made that event happen. So I'm really excited about some of the new technology and innovations that we have. And also we have some changes coming up to our membership platform to create in online communities within our membership platform, so our members can engage. They'll be able to exchange digital business cards through that, and we'll be able to create different types of communities. And so, Women in Business Council, Women in Business, they can have a community. The CEO roundtables, industry roundtables, whatever that might be, we'll be able to help connect in an even better way. So looking forward to the things we have coming out.
And I'm super excited to see how your virtual events go, because I may be tapping on your shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we're working with them to create a white paper to talk about trends and changes in the event industry. So, happy to help share and connect.
Talk about silver lining.
Always. Congratulations. That's great turnout too.
Yeah, and we're super excited.
Yeah,
that's huge. It's so great to hear another positive coming out of this is technology bringing us together and having the reach go so much further. And of course, my hyper efficiency said, "Yay! Look how many things you can do all at the same time." That's so exciting. Congratulations on those numbers. What a be a great turnout. And you guys always do a great job highlighting people for awards, and it just makes it so nice for the business community to see, who's doing what and give back and say thanks and all of that. What a great thing.
Yeah, we have so many great businesses in Tempe. It's fun to recognize them and share and help them connect and make new business relationships as well.
So cool. Well, I know Michele has to go pretty soon, but I wanted, Michele, if you would tell us how somebody, a consultant like you, your consulting agency, can help nonprofits, what you do for them.
Sure. It's very flexible. People hear consultant and they worry, oh, big money. I don't have a budget for that. I barely have staff But, with a smaller shop like mine, I didn't have as much flexibility when I worked for a larger organization. But now especially can be very, very helpful in developing strategies, taking a bigger picture look. Sometimes it's very easy to get so engaged in the day-to-day work in a nonprofit. You just get really absorbed in getting through today and addressing tomorrow that you barely have time, as much as you should, to look at a big picture and develop strategies. And where I have committed myself and my business model is that regardless of somebody's budget, or despite their budget, big, little, small, everybody that has a viable mission deserves the opportunity for support and guidance. And so customizing I don't have this black and white, here's what I do, here's what I don't, here's this a la carte, pick one, this is how much it costs. It's like, okay, where do we need to go? What do you need to do? What's most important to you? Let's see where we can work together, where my skills can develop, can help you, maybe where they can't in some cases, and figure something out that makes it work so that we can help you get through not just today, but really look to the long-term longevity of your organization and sustainable practices that are intentional and meaningful for your donors, for your programs, and become less reactionary. It's so easy to just say, oh, yeah, we'll do that. That sounds like a good idea. And then forget the consequences of all that goes along with that. An outside person like myself can be short-term, literally can be a half a day, it can from to a half a year. It really can, and everything in between, from education and strategy to just being a sounding board. And, it's a passion, it's a commitment. So I work really hard to work with every kind of organization, regardless of their budgets, because I believe they deserve it. And so I just want to encourage people to reach out to consultants, make sure you get the right one. We're not direct fundraisers, but we do support fundraising activities. That's the big thing. You're like, oh, you're going to go raise me $100,000 or $1 million. I'm going to help you do it, but I'm not going to do it for you.
Right, I'll give you the tools to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to guide you, work with you, give you all the opportunity to do so. But anyway, so I just, it's a great time to use a consultant during these times. And I'm happy to talk to any organization in just determining whether, what their needs are and how we can work together, how we can partner. I'm a passionate partner, I will tell you that. My email is basically my name, Michele with one L, at Michele Rebeor. I have a very hard last name. It's Rebeor, Michele at MicheleRebeor.com. And my phone number is 602-402-0567.
And MicheleRebeor.com is your website.
And we're fixing it up. It's very women focused, which I love, but I have a lot of other services to offer too. So
we're working on it. It will be nice and revamped to focus on what you're doing now. Coming up real soon. Thank you, Michele, for taking the time. I know you've got to be on another panel here in a few minutes. So
yeah, I'm going to go talk to New York City for an hour. Have fun.
Good luck with that. Nice to see you. I'll talk to you.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Anne, for all you do. I look forward to staying in touch.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Appreciate what you do.
And can you tell us about the upcoming event you have in June?
So it's the State of the Chamber, and in the past it's been our annual luncheon, and it's the chance where we recognize our Small Business of the Year, Large Business of the Year, as well as our Volunteer of the Year, the Spirit of Tempe Award, and Tempe Leadership also recognizes their outstanding leader. And it's just an update of what happened with the Chamber this past year, introduce the new Board of Directors. But this year, it'll be, I think people are very interested in knowing about the work that we've been doing, especially the last 3 months, and what the future holds, what we're looking at down the road. And, because we are a privately funded organization, we are a 501c6 nonprofit. We don't get any government funding. We're not eligible for any of the PPP loans or anything like that, because for whatever reason, they decided to leave some nonprofits out of the mix. But maybe it's a blessing in disguise. We've been able to definitely have come out strong. We are strong as far as an organization. And because it'll be an interactive broadcast, even though we have to do social distancing, we're still going to be able to present the awards in a safe way to the recipients. Everyone will be able to see the video on what our businesses are doing, and then also to hear from them. And just a great way to say thanks and stay connected. And for us, it is one of our signature events. So it is a fundraiser, and our sponsors have just been so on board with it. The minute we talked to them about changing to this, where you're not getting 10 lunches, but you're going to get 20 individual URLs to give to your staff, your clients, whoever that might be. And they're just like, right on. I'm glad you all are doing this, because it's something that is part of that back to normalcy. Not that we'll ever go there, but it's something that they really want to see, and the businesses want to see. So they're all super excited, team's super excited to put it together.
That's so great. We have had so many cool opportunities as an entrepreneur for over 17 years. It's been so fun to get to come to all those. I think I've been a chamber member almost as long as I've been an entrepreneur, maybe 15 years. But to be able to be recognized, for those different awards like Entrepreneur of the Year and Small Business of the Year, it's such an honor to be recognized, for those businesses. I know we were thankful for that. So it's so nice that you still will get to do that, so they don't lose out, on Businesswoman of the Year or any of those awards. That it'll be nice. And I bet you'll have more attendees, right? You'll have more people tuning in to be able to see everybody. So that's such a cool thing.
Yeah. We're excited to be able to share the word. And because our leadership conference was postponed because that was supposed to take place tomorrow originally, we will have the Businesswoman of the Year as part of the State of the Chamber, as well as the graduation program for our mentoring program is going to be part of that as well. So we really wanted to make sure to include those pieces of the leadership conference and then moving that to this fall.
So will those awards then become part of this annual event instead of just at the leadership conference?
I mean, it's something to consider. I mean, me, just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean it's still going to be done that way.
Exactly.
I think depending on the reaction and the feedback, we'll look at it, or are there other ways that we can do it differently next time? It remains to be seen. But this is a great opportunity we have to at least, still do some of the parts of our programming that mean a lot to our businesses.
It's huge for people, I know. Dawn, what about you? What do you have coming up? What's TCH have on the books or things that you want to tell everybody?
Well, right now, we're just it's a wait and see pattern, of course. Not sure what fundraising is going to look like. We have to make some determinations if we're going to go forward with our fall fundraising event, the Monster Mash. Will it be safe? Is it something that we're going to postpone one more year? We've already postponed one event. And what can we do in place of it? In terms of fundraising, we've definitely changed my budget for 2021 in terms of expected revenue from, fundraising, just because we know that it's very unknown right now. Beyond that, it'll be going forward with our businesses and just keeping our guys safe and making sure that we can still get them participating in all aspects of our community, but in a safe way. So, I'm not sure what it's going to look like. None of us do. And I have a great boss and we have a great CEO. And so between us, very open to trying to figure out some things. I've got some ideas in my head. They're a little non-traditional. I'm
not surprised.
So I'm going to, kind of play around with that and see what we can come up with virtually and what other things we can do. I mean, we work with Megan for social media, and she's been amazing, and she really helps me to kind of format, and I know what I want to say, or I know what I want something to look like, but she makes it happen. So that's a huge help when it comes to this kind of stuff, especially when we started to talk about virtual things and social media more. And
absolutely, like we were talking about earlier, outsource. I tell everybody, do what you're good at and outsource everything else.
That's right.
We need to lean on each other, right, for those types of things, for sure. There's no use in doing it yourself when it's going to take you 2 hours when it could take somebody else 10 minutes,
Exactly.
Yeah, and Dawn, in any way we can help you all when you change your fundraising strategy or your program, your events, just obviously let me know and we'll help get the word out.
I will be in touch. Like I said, I've got some ideas. That's why I want to see how it goes for you especially tomorrow. I mean, I'll be on both of those events. So, but I want to see how it goes from your side of it, to be able to ask you some questions about what worked, what didn't work, what would you do different, and see if it's a venue for us to try.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I've been seeing that people are having a lot of success with doing online events, whether it's fundraising or networking or any of it. I think everybody so needs the human interaction, that we can see each other and talk to each other, and at least we don't get to hug each other, but at least we get to be on Zoom to see each other. So I think definitely doing that tomorrow and in June will help. Will still be successful for sure for you, Anne, and Megan will come up with great things to do for TCH. Tell us, before we head off air, tell us how people can get a hold of you. I'm sure by now that everybody listening wants to be a Tempe Chamber member. and support,
they should be.
Right? And support Tears Rehabilitation. So I'll have you both tell us how people can get a hold of you before we close today.
I can be reached via email. It's Anne, ANNE, at TempeChamber.org. My direct line is 480-736-4280. Our website, TempeChamber.org, has a ton of resources and information. In fact, one thing that we're about to add to it is a customizable flyer for businesses, so you can tell people what it is that you are doing to be safe. So whether it's screening, social distancing, cleaning, it's literally, if you click on it, it automatically fills it in, you add your logo, and then you can post it on your door, post it on your social media. So it's just a great tool. You don't have to think about what are we doing. It gives you those tips and you can tell everyone. So keep an eye out for that. Sorry.
That's so exciting. I love it. You see, you're innovative every single minute, right? That's why everybody needs to be a member. It's that they can have access to all the wonderful things you're doing for businesses. So thank you so much for being on with us, Anne.
My email is DAWNHOCKING at tch-az.com. My phone number is 480-730-4221. Our website is www.tch-az.com. And you can get us on all of the social media at TCH Arizona.
You do a great job. Thank you both for being on so much today. We really appreciate getting the time to spend to talk about your businesses and connect each other and collaborate. So thank you for what you're doing for the business community and for your members, Dawn. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly.
You've been listening to Collaborative Connections radio show and podcast sponsored by KLM Consulting. Clients of KLM Consulting can continue to do what they love while having the support they need because we offer business development strategy sessions, concierge services, ongoing consulting, marketing, project management, and social media training. Tune in on the third Thursday of every month at 1 p.m. Until next time, happy connecting.